Right, so I'm going to do some work on the red GSI today. This front pipe's got to come off. It was only put on there temporary to get the car running. But you can see in the past, I've got a flexi section welded on by a reputable exhaust place. If I said the name of them, you'd know them very well. It's done a little while ago, but it was done. I asked for a stainless steel one. You can clearly see that's mild steel. So you can see where it's aluminized steel. And it's rusted away, so that's no good, that flexi section. And the way they done it, I just was never happy with. They put so much weld and everything into it. I mean, it worked, but if I cut that apart, you're going to see that it's all tucked inside and everything, and it just looks untidy. So I've got a new front pipe to go on. The only difference is on the front pipe that I'm putting on, obviously it's got a sports cat in it as well. This has got a sports cat. The front pipe I'm putting on, this exhaust system it's making up to is slightly different. So the front pipe stops about there where the normal one would stop, but it drops down to a 2¼ inch size exhaust, and this is a 2½ inch all the way through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this section off of this pipe, and I'm going to join it onto the new pipe. I'll show you when I'm doing it, obviously, and you'll see it all become clear. But this front pipe's going to come off, and then I can get that pre-cat back on. You might remember that I robbed the pre-cat off it for the other car, for the silver car, so I've got a pre-cat to go on there as well, and we can get this exhaust system back up and running again and clean it up a little bit, because the cat back side of it is absolutely fine. It fits there absolutely mint. Give it a quick clean up when I pull it all off, and yeah, so that's what the job is today. Right, so here's the two front Decat pipes together. Now you can see the length difference. You can see the left one is the Miltech one, the stock one, and then the right hand one is the custom one. And you can see here where I had the flexi section done now while it's off the car. And you can see the why I weren't happy with it. Look at the state of these welds. Obviously they couldn't get to the top, but they didn't bother dropping it down or anything. And you can see here that is not stainless steel. It's got like an aluminized cover over the top of the mesh. And you can see that's like just broken down. This flexi ain't actually that old. You can see the weld's not actually that old. Maybe I'd say 2 years old, and it's not damaged or anything. It's just fell apart. And you can see on the left here, nice stainless section. So obviously we've got to address this length difference, which is the issue we have here. But also on the Miltech systems, and I don't know if it's the other systems or the Cobra ones or whatever, but most of the front pipes on the 2½ inch exhausts are made for stock catbacks. So you can see here, it's 2½ inch all the way through like it should be. Obviously you've got the sports cat, opens up to 3 inch. And then it drops back down to stock size, which is 2¼ inch. You can see here, I know you might think that's only 1/4 inch, but that's stock size exhaust pipe. So we're obviously trying to get more flow, so we're going to 2½ inch. When it drops down to 2¼ inch, obviously you're creating a bottleneck in there. So you can see inside there, it's a nasty bottleneck effect. You can see there's a nasty lip on the edge there, so it drops down and it goes even smaller into this collector here. So I'm going to measure this for you, and I'm going to show you why I always cut these out, or if I get a custom exhaust system, or get a turbo back one, because then they won't be made for the existing catback pipe with the standard silencer in it. So you can see how much restriction that this flange creates. Most of the cars that are going to be watching this video are going to have this exact same exhaust system on it, and it definitely limits power. It might only be low, 10 horsepower, 15 horsepower, but it's definitely giving you a limit, especially on like stage 4 CO6 setups. If you're running these still, you're going to have a nasty bottleneck there. So obviously to accommodate for that, when they do the catback, they're going to do a 2¼ inch, and it's going to open up again exactly like that one did, but this way. So the best way to do it is just get rid of that flange and just have a true 2½ inch exhaust. So that's what we're going to do with this bit. So this episode should really be a bit of an eye-opener for people, because most people are going to be running these sort of exhaust systems on their car. This is a standard Miltech Decat pipe. So Cobra do the same thing. Piper normally do it all the way through, because they do turbo backs, and they do the elbow for the Decat pipe built into it. But you can see here, these are both 2½ inch or 63-64 mil exhaust pipes, and you can see they clearly are the same width there, which I'll obviously measure quickly with my vernier just to prove to you. So let's just zero that, and then you can see here, we'll do it from this way so you can actually see it. I'm going to do 2.5, 2.3. Right, so let's just do that in inches. So yeah, you go 2½ inch, as you can see there, which is 63.5 mil. So you can see on this side as well, exactly the same outer diameter exhaust pipe. But this is where it gets interesting. Obviously you can clearly see the left and the right, and which one flows more air. You can see the right one and the left one. So the left one is the Miltech standard one with the flange still on it. So we're going to measure the inside of that, and that is 49 mil, and that works out to be 1.95 inches. So you can see there the bottleneck created by this drops down to 1.95 inches from 2.5 inch, whereas on the one without the flange, you can see it opens right up still, and that's 2.32 inches, which works out to be around 59-60 millimeters. So there's a massive difference there. 10 mil, at least 10 mil, just over 10 millimeters, which is a lot of exhaust flow. Right, so now the flange is cut off. You can see in here the brick wall that the exhaust has to obviously enter. So you can see it's about 5 mil, 7 mil either side, and then that drops it down at least 10 mil. You can see here already flange is down 1/4 inch there, and then goes down again, ends up with this tiny little hole. So it's a true 2.5 inch there, then it drops down to 1.9 inch there. So now we've got rid of that. Massive bottleneck restriction gone. Nice free flowing exhaust system. This has got to be done to my silver Astra as well, because that's got a Cobra catback with a Miltech front pipe, and that's going to be the same problem. So once we've got rid of that, we'll pick up a little bit of horsepower on that one as well. So now it's time to mock up the downpipe onto the car, so we can see the length that we need to join it onto the rest of the system. So you've got the pre-cat pipe here, which I'm going to be using. This is obviously the one that I took off the silver car. So it's 2.5 inch straight through, and it's got one lambda bung in it at the minute, where we obviously got a wideband gauge, so we're going to have to weld another one in for it. At the minute we're just going to mock it up with that one on and do that one after. Brand new GM V-band clamp, the normal ones. These are quite expensive new, but got that one from Nevlock, and these are the bungs that I am going to be fitting, properly stainless ones. So you can see that one's probably going to go in like maybe around there. So we'll have a look when it's on the car so that we can see exactly where it is, so it don't interfere with like the gearbox mounts or anything like that. So don't weld it when it's off the car. Make sure you mock it up on the car first. So going to get this on. We're going to loosely just do this without a gasket in it in a minute, and then get the downpipe on. You know how to do this now. Get this onto the turbo beforehand. Leave it loose. You've seen it in previous videos, so I don't need to explain that again. So as the car's not high enough up in the air at the minute to film, it's a bit difficult for me to film fitting this pipe, so you just have to look at it afterwards. So you can see here it's all mocked up now. The front pipe is all on up here, so everything's loose at the minute. All the clamps loose, the bolts are all loose, just so I can move it around to see like what sort of clearances I've got with the subframe, etc. You can see it's on axle stand, just holding the back section up at the minute, and then we've got about 8 inches to fix here. So you can see here's about 8 inches missing, with the obviously the bracket support mounts as well there. So it's all going on in that section. I've left the lambda sensor bung on, you can just about see it, or you probably see it through there. So that's going to be the lambda sensor for the secondary one, even though they normally get turned off, but I just wanted it on there anyway, just in case. So yeah, we've just got to make up this extra 8 inch section here, and then get that welded on, and then this exhaust is pretty much fitted. So it can't wait to start this back up. This car hasn't been started up since April, so it'd be interesting to start it back up. Obviously I'll prime it all back up again, make sure the engine's not dry, but you can see under here obviously it's also going to be cleaned up as well, looking quite fresh. I haven't even touched it under here, I haven't cleaned it or nothing, so it's just been sitting here and it's still looking good, so I'm happy with that. So I've just pushed that section into the flange itself. You can see here, and we obviously got a bit of an air gap there. I think that's going to blow, so what we're going to have to do is put a 2 inch section in there. So I've just measured it and it's exactly 2 inches, so we're just putting a little 2 inch section in there. It's obviously because the pre-cat Decat that was on there before he's actually got a longer tail on it, and this one doesn't, so that allowed for that extra 2 inches. So I'm just going to quickly run through a few of the bits that I use for cutting these exhaust pipes and prepping stuff up. So firstly, to get like a rusty nasty exhaust off a car, I just use a reciprocating saw, or if I'm cutting an exhaust pipe I don't care about how straight the cut is, if I'm going to smooth it or cut it afterwards, just use the reciprocating saw with a bimetal blade, and that just literally chews through it. It makes life so much easier, and no sparks, nothing to get in your eyes, even though I obviously use safety glasses and ear protectors, which are around my shoulders at the minute, because of the noise of a grinder literally will deafen you over a day's work. Also I use proper cutting discs. So you've got to use ones that are ready for stainless steel, because obviously stainless steel is much harder than mild steel. And I always use discs that are 1mm thick, so you get a nice straight cut. So you can see there, just choose through stainless. Then I use a flat disc afterwards. And what I use as well is, these are absolutely amazing that I've been using lately. These are a poly disc, and these can clean up the material before you weld it. And unlike a flat disc, which I've got plenty of, hundreds of them, in all different grades, these won't scratch up the exhaust pipe and make it look nasty. These literally just take off the top layer of rust, gets down to a nice fresh metal. I'm going to show you how that works. But I've been using these a lot lately. I didn't even know they existed till about a year ago. I see someone using them, and I bought some, and they was amazing. So you can see here, rust and paint remover, and it just doesn't damage the underlying metal, which is perfect. So I'll get this on a grinder quickly and show you how it works. So obviously when you get stainless steel pipe, you can see here when it's fresh, it's nice and shiny. Obviously a lot of people polish these up as well, polish it up on a polishing wheel, and you can get a lovely mirror finish on it. But this is the actual colour it comes from the factory, or when it comes out of the machine. It looks lovely and clean like that. And over time, because it's not pure stainless steel, you know, there's different qualities of stainless steel, 304, etc. It gets a little bit of oxidization on it. It's obviously not corrosion, but it just taints it a little bit. And there is a way with this flat disc to get this up to a nice shine again. If you've got a nasty exhaust system on it, you can just run this over, and it won't scratch the exhaust pipe like a flat disc will, and you know, create them nasty scratch marks. And it literally just removes the top layer and creates that nice shine that we've got again underneath. So I'm going to use this exhaust pipe that come off the car. You can see here it's obviously been on the car for a number of years, and you've got like a rust build up on the top, and it's still a stainless steel pipe, so this will be absolutely perfect. So you can see the nasty corrosion that's on it, and it's got that nasty like rusty over the top of it, that patina look that just don't look good. And if you've got it on a nice car, you want you to keep your exhaust pipe looking good, get yourself one of these discs. If you're a buffy boy or a concourse boy, these are absolutely perfect for you, and then you can polish it afterwards. So I'm going to just show you how nice it comes up with this disc. So you just see me do that with that flat disc, and you can see this is the desired effect that you get. So you're just taking off that top layer of corrosion, you go over the whole exhaust pipe, and it look amazing. So you can see here there's no scratch marks or deep scratch marks in it like a flat disc will do. I will use a flat disc just on this section here, because I'm going to reuse this bit of exhaust pipe on something else, and I'll show you how much damage that a flat disc will do compared to this. So you can see there's nasty corrosion on there. I'll get a flat disc on that and you'll see the damage. But you can see with that fibre disc, it just cleans up the exhaust pipe nicely without damaging it. It's absolutely perfect, and you can even go on to like sand that down and polish it. I know you can't feel it, but it's really nasty and rough, and it's smooth as silk there. So if you ain't got one of these, go out and get yourself one. They're absolutely perfect for cleaning up any metal. Don't have to be exhaust pipes. Before welding or painting, get some primer on it. It makes the job a lot easier. It actually works better than a steel wire wheel as well. It gets a lot deeper, it gets rid of this a lot quicker, and the mild steel wheel on a stainless steel exhaust pipe will actually create oxidization over time, because the mild steel actually penetrates into the stainless, and you'll get a nasty build-up of iron over time. So if you haven't used one of these before, go out and buy yourself one. Right, so obviously we need to add 2 inches to the end of this now, so I'm going to clean this up like you just see in that video with the flat disc, make that nice and shiny so it's perfect to weld onto. It's absolutely perfectly flat at the minute, so we're going to get 2 inches of steel cut out of probably this bit of pipe here. I just measured it up there, cut that on, and we tack that on so it's nice and straight, and we'll measure it back up to the exhaust pipe that's still on the car. Well, I've just cut up a 2-inch section off of this pipe here, perfectly lined up. So I've just lined it up to exactly the spot that I want it, so it's nice and straight. Lined it up with some markings, and I'm just going to tape it up now, and then I'm just going to tack it in 2 or 4 different places. It'd be lovely to have a TIG welder right now, so I could get a lovely tight finish, but obviously that's not going to happen. I haven't got set up here, so we're just going to go with a MIG. You can see how nicely this pipe cleaned up as well. I just went over that flat disc like you see, and it was all corroded, and well, not corroded but surface rusting out on it. Now it's back to fresh stainless steel. So going to get this tacked on, and then we can weld this to the downpipe. So one thing I do to make it a little bit easier, just so you ain't got to have two hands while you're tacking it in place, is I just use a bit of tape to tape on that bit of metal so that it doesn't move around. You get it perfectly in place, you can just quickly tack it, and once it's tacked in place, obviously you can start welding it. And obviously I'm no pro welder or anything, but just a couple of little tips for, you know, beginner welders. I just use a bit of scrap metal and I just run some beads across it with the welder settings, and I just change the settings before I start welding it. Obviously if I'm doing a butt joint or something, I'll just cut a line into it while it's still attached, and I'll just tack it in different places just to get the heat and the range into the material, and then you can see through the pipe to see if it's penetrated properly. It's just a quick little thing I do before welding anything, because I don't weld all the time, so the settings change. Right, that section's all welded on there now, nothing special. I wish I had a TIG set up, but I don't, so MIG will have to do for now. All I'm happy about is obviously penetration in there. You can see it's gone right through, so I've got nice loads of heat into it. So we're going to now attach this to the other section that's on the car, so I'm just going to make sure that this all lines up perfectly. So I'm going to get under the car, slide this in. That fits on there spot on, so I'll just put it into the hangers quickly, as you can see, and then it's a bit tight under here, so you can see here it pushes up there nicely. So what I'm going to do is tape it up, mark it up, make sure it's all perfect so it fits in there lovely, and it's all going to pull that downpipe nicely up. When the downpipe's up, I'll give it a quick clean up as well, and then I'm going to do this rear section in the future, get it all nice and shiny, maybe even give it a polish. So I'm happy with how that extended section's come out. So now I'm just going to mark this up quickly, pull it off the car, and I'll show you when it's off the car. So I've just done the same thing here, taped it up. You can see here, nice join, easy enough to butt weld to. Just going to tack it again, and you can see here clearly where Miltech use a MIG welder for all their stuff. They don't TIG weld, so it's not really a problem. You can see it up here on all the sports cat and everything, you know, so it's not really a problem me MIG welding this. It's not as if it was a TIG weld system. I know I like to try and do a good job of it, but I ain't got a TIG welding set up yet, so no problems doing this. It's nice and strong, penetrating nice, so you can see how that lines up perfectly. Going to get some tack welds on that now. So there we go, the extra 2 inches are in here now just to pull it forward. So we're about to get this front pipe back on, and now we've got a true 2.5 inch all the way from the turbo all the way through to the exit now, because this is a custom system and the rest of it is 2.5 inches as well. So we ain't got that nasty flange that's on the end of there anymore, and we've got a nice new sports cat on there, so we're about to pass emissions, go for an MOT nicely, and obviously still flows a lot of exhaust gases, and we've got a nice fresh new pipe on there. So obviously I'll take this off in the future with the back section as well, and I'll clean it all up properly, but for now we're going to chuck this on, see if it fits all nice. Right, so the downpipe's all fitted on there nicely now, absolutely fits perfectly. So I've just bolted it all up, put new clamps on it. I've also bunged up the back of the cat. I've obviously put the lambda sensor in, and the back of the cat's got a bung on it. I don't know why they put one in the cat, but they did. So I've bunged that up because it's no need for that. And that's a big job out of the way. So I've just got to put the front lambda sensor on now, which I will. But I've been procrastinating about this job for ages because I've just not had time to do it, and it's one of them jobs that I've really wanted to get out of the way, and I'm really glad I have. And now I'll be able to obviously start the car up whenever I want it again, because that's been bugging me. As I say, this car hasn't been started up since about April time, so let's get that front lambda sensor in, and really all I need to do is chuck a battery on this and it will start up. So it's a bit like take your pick really. I've got loads of lambda sensors. I always keep the ones that are good, I mark them up. Any ones that are crap, I throw them away. So I'm just going to pick one of these, and obviously I'll test this with Opcom after, make sure the fuel trim's perfect.